So I'm here today with Trip Hawkins, the founder of Electronic Arts, who's had a long career in the online gaming world. And you're going to tell us a little bit about your new venture, but it has a lot of roots and origins in the work that you've done in and around tech here for the past 2+ decades.
Yeah, this has kind of been something that I realize now I've spent my whole life preparing to do, and it just launched yesterday in the App Store for the iPhone. It's a service called If, and it's inspired by the Kipling poem, the poem that starts, "If you can keep your head, well, all about you are losing theirs." Very empowering poem written by Kipling 100 years ago. And today, this area of human knowledge, it's kind of declined in the last 100 years. And there's an attempt now to bring it back, and it's a movement that's known as SEL. So it's all about this concept of social and emotional learning. Schools don't really teach people how to manage their emotions, how to build positive relationships, and how to make effective, healthy decisions. So this is a skill set that's really important to thriving as a human being.
You said this came out of a personal journey for you.
One of the schools that was a founder in this movement of SEL, it just so happened my kids ended up going to that school. And after a while, I had children as young as 10 years old correcting me on my behavior and having me realize with humility that they were right, and being kind of jealous about what these guys in the Nueva school were teaching my children and how my children were benefiting and how they were thriving from it. And it just eventually occurred to me that this is knowledge that really needs to be out there, and it's a very important social movement to get the world to know about SEL.
And so how do you do it? It's a game?
Yeah, so of course you have to meet people where they're at. And where is a child today? They are in a device, and where's their motivation? What's going to sustain their interest? And the answer is having fun in a game. So that's the approach that we take, is that it's got to start out at its foundation, it's got to be a really fun game, and it's got to outflank thousands of other entertainment choices that kids might be interested in. And then it has to have a very legitimate, authentic approach to this curriculum, as well as the assessment of the learning of it. So just like making John Madden football, so the EA Sports business model of bringing in experts like John Madden, bringing in data like player statistics and the NFL rulebook, and knitting all that together with the best game developers, I'm using that same formula again in this case, but now I've got these fabulous teachers that built SEL teaching at the Nueva School. I've got the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. I've got castle.org. I've got all these resources from all these experts. And then, of course, there are these government teaching standards to conform to. And, of course, now we have modern platforms. So I don't think it would be possible to really make this happen if there wasn't an explosion in new devices like the tablets.
You mentioned this is for 6 to 12-year-olds, right? That's not an audience a lot of people are necessarily going after with the latest tech.
I think when you think about game technology and kids, if they're preschool, people are not as concerned with academics, and the kids aren't reading yet, and they're not dealing with issues of school climate. So we like 6 to 12 because not only are kids now going through separation anxiety and starting school and dealing with the classroom and dealing with other kids, they're also getting older and going into middle school and dealing with puberty and all the social issues of that age range. And in that age range, they're still basically receptive to what parents and teachers want them to do. And they'll try things, and they haven't yet become teenagers. Teenagers are more likely to smell the spinach and basically say, look, I already went to school and I already did my homework, I'm going to do what I want to do now. And it's a hard battle for parents to win. So we think that there's a rich opportunity in the 6 to 12 age range where we as an industry can create more applications like this that the parent or the teacher can essentially curate by providing some really wholesome applications that have a lot of value, because there's concern these days about mobile addiction and too much time being wasted doing things that have no value.
So I'm curious as to why this is the right opportunity for you to pursue now. Why is that?
This definitely doesn't fit the most popular formulas today. In the game industry, you have the free-to-play games with virtual goods. Sure. And the business community, I think, is more excited about social applications that have classic features of user-generated content and communities and viral spread. So yeah, we're not that. There are plenty of parents out there that want what's best for their children. And it's time to basically start having this revolution of bringing game design and computer technology more into the mainstream of how education works for the 21st century. I like to quote Frederick Douglass. He said that it is easier to build strong children than to fix broken men. And a lot of us, myself included, you know, we didn't learn these things from our parents, and they didn't learn them from their parents. So it's not a big surprise that there's this deficit, and that you would see it show up in various issues that adults have in the world today. So it does make sense for adults to learn these skills, but it's more practical to start with children while their values are still forming and while they're receptive and open.